Okay, it's about an hour since I poured the plaster mould, so it went quite warm, quite hot. So when the plaster does that, you know it's setting, and then I just usually wait another 20 minutes, half an hour until it cools down a little bit, and then I just get my knife and I run around the edges and separate the clay away, so that then I can just lift the mould off like that. This clay that you've used for sealing up the box, you could actually reuse that for next time. So I'll often just keep it in a plastic container, keep a lid over it, keep it nice and moist. I might spray it with a bit of water and reuse it. Generally with clay, as long as you don't get chunks of plaster in the clay, you can reuse that and you can make pots with it. A lot of people don't like to. They just keep clay that they use working with plaster so that they don't risk any contamination. If you do get chunks of plaster in your clay and you make a pot with it, it could cause the pot to kind of blow up because of the impurity of the plaster in the clay. So, like I said, I do reclaim the clay, I do use it, but I'm really careful not to get the plaster mixed up. So you can see I've got my mould. Sometimes I might just use the surf form and just take off the sharper edges, and later on I'll clean this up properly once we've made the next mould. But for now I just take off those sharper edges, and then you saw how I kind of pushed it that way. If you try and pull it off, it often it's hard to do that because the clay sucks onto the board. So just give it a little twist like that and it'll help separate it. Then you've got your clay master in there, and I just get a bit of damp clay and I pound it into the corner, and usually it lifts out really quickly, but I've let my clay firm up quite a bit. So, but you can see there's my clay master, there's my press mold. Ta-da! Nice. I'm happy with that. So we'll just keep it like that. You don't have to wrap it up or anything like that. It's ready to go next week, and we'll make the hump mold next week. What you might find is that you might be running short on plaster, powder, potter's plaster. So maybe come in on Monday and fill your bucket up again with plaster, because if your mold was bigger than mine, chances are you're probably going to go close to using most of that powder that you had in the bucket that I gave you. So I'm guessing that most of you will have to come in and get some more plaster to do the mold the following week. So yeah, maybe Monday is a good day. I'll be at TAFE on the Monday, and you can pick up some more plaster, and we'll make the hump mold the following week. So yeah, take your time. Remember what I said about just making sure you're prepared, and you know, the trick to mixing up a nice strong batch of plaster is soaking up all of that water. You know, the little islands thing that I talk about, and then when you mix it up by hand, once all the plaster powder's in with the water, just make sure that, you know, it's nice and creamy consistency for when you pour it into the mold, and should be all good. Okay.